All right, we're at part 3. I'm recording this after part 1 and 2. I have to get a bunch of videos recorded today because I start work tomorrow, and I guarantee you, I'm not gonna want to make videos while I'm working, bro. That shit gonna have me cooked. Anyways, let's just get straight into things. The first battle will actually be Sakura versus Shino, and this battle is actually relatively closer than one might think due to Sakura's month of training with seals. Jiraiya did teach her a lot, however, there's not really an efficient way to end up using seals against Shino's bugs currently. And so Sakura is currently having a nice bit of trouble, but by the end, they're both relatively injured. However, Sakura does end up losing the match. And then we have a canonical match, Tamari versus Shikamaru, and that just ends the same way. Shikamaru forfeits because he's out of chakra. And like in canon, it's supposed to be Sasuke versus Gaara. However, Sasuke isn't there, so Naruto just suggests that he fights Neji first, so that Sasuke has more time to arrive. So then Naruto goes against Neji, and this fight is way closer than in canon, in my opinion. Like, Naruto only won due to pure luck, in my opinion, canonically. So, in this timeline, it's way closer. Neji and Naruto are actually on par with each other if Naruto is not stronger. And so, once they get into the ring, Naruto's first order of business is setting his spear to form 6 Yggdra cloth to give himself armor, because he understands that Neji's whole thing is shutting off his chakra pathways. And once he does that, Naruto will begin to have a lot of trouble. And so once he puts on all that armor, he's actually caught off guard by Neji, because while he was focused on changing his spear form, he forgot that the battle had begun. And Neji is already pulled up into that close range motion, and Naruto barely dodges the first hit from the gentle fist. And so Naruto is trying to keep his distance because he's not in a good situation in a close range fight. He knows, realistically, Neji is far better at hand-to-hand combat than himself. And so, eventually, after a whole lot of dancing around each other, Naruto trying to stay out of range and Neji keep pushing forward, and Naruto not actually using any long-range jutsus, because if he were to, his only really long-range thing he knows how to currently use is his spirit spear, and currently that's what's protecting him from Neji. So, eventually, Neji does manage to catch Naruto and starts to hit him with the 64 palms, which leaves Naruto in a very sticky situation. You hear 4 palms, 8 palms, 16 palms, 32 palms, 64 palms, and on the 64th palm, you just see the armor break off Naruto, and Naruto start to, fly backwards. But that's when, in the nick of time, Naruto changes his spear to a neutral form, Pillow, to catch him before he falls out the arena. And Naruto he's not 100% sure what to do at this point. So he ends up setting his spear to form 5 increase, with a bunch of daggers flying around him so he could hopefully get Neji. But the problem is, as soon as Naruto starts sending the daggers towards Neji, he immediately goes into a palm rotation and starts deflecting almost all of the daggers. There's a couple that still manage to cut his hands, but outside of those, Neji has deflected them all. And Naruto knows if he keeps going for form increase that he will eventually win after wearing out Neji. However, he also understands that he can't keep it up forever. He's not used to using his spirit spear so much. And so, Naruto then opts to take advantage of Neji being distracted by the palm rotation to try and sneak up on Neji elsewhere. So, anyways, to sneak up on Neji, he does the same thing he does in canon, where he actually kind of digs a hole underground after leaving a clone up top. So after the spears, the daggers stop going after Neji for a second, and Neji kind of lets up his palm rotation, he sees Naruto, and Naruto's clone starts running towards him. And Neji's like, "Are you stupid? Why would you run straight towards me like that?" So he immediately hits his clone with a powerful air palm, and sends Naruto's clone flying, and then you see a poof. And, in old canonical fashion, you see Naruto come straight out of the ground with a nice uppercut. Now, the difference in this timeline is Naruto's not completely beat up. He does knock Neji out with this punch. And Naruto is injured, but it's not like the same as canon, where he's like completely battered and he can barely stand and then he passes out right after. No, he ends up walking off because he's completely awake. And Neji's whole family situation remains pretty canonical. And the entire stands are kind of shocked because even though Naruto was missing for several years, they still don't like him because he is the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. For the Sasuke versus Gaara fight, things remain relatively canonical due to nothing really changing. Sasuke is currently stronger than he was in canon. However, he still makes Gaara bleed. Gaara has a tweak out. And then the whole Genjutsu is placed. However, Naruto is actually immune to Genjutsu due to the blessing of the Fairy King. So he's not actually affected by it. And so Kakashi and Guy tell Naruto to go after Sasuke and Gaara and help Sasuke fight Gaara. Sasuke's ego has been checked several times, but he still has a bit of a one, so he wants to do the fight by himself, but he isn't as antagonistic as he was in canon. Sakura actually chooses to remain behind because she understands that due to her exhaustion after fighting Shino and stuff like that, and that she'd probably be more useful helping the Chunins and Jonins protect the civilians, she opts to stay back and not chase Sasuke. Eventually, Naruto then catches up with Sasuke, who's currently fighting Gaara, and he tells Sasuke to let him help. Sasuke is really against this for no real good reason. So when Sasuke actually gets injured here, Naruto has no choice but to protect Sasuke by himself. So he performs his summoning jutsu and summons Oslo. As soon as Oslo is summoned, he actually perceives that there's danger afoot. He notices Gaara, and so Oslo actually ends up turning really big. And as he turns really big, that's when Gaara finally just hits the dead possum jutsu and knocks himself out, and the One Tails appears. So currently it's Naruto on top of a big Oslo, which is still smaller than the One Tails by a decent chunk. And Sasuke unconscious on Oslo with Naruto, and they're fighting the One Tails. Naruto still has his spirit spear, so he tries to think of an idea. And he's fighting the One Tails. Oslo is able to dodge most of the attacks, but eventually they do get hit. Naruto goes flying, he's injured. Sasuke goes flying, and Oslo also gets hurt. Naruto then, proceeds to unlock the next form of his Spirit Spear. Spirit Spear Form 3. Fossilization. So he throws his two-headed spear into the One Tails, and the One Tails starts turning into stone. It's no longer sand. And the One Tails is like, what's going on? Hey, get that off of me. And before the One Tails is like completely solidified, because Naruto, he doesn't want to kill Gaara. Naruto decides to take this opportunity of the One Tails being distracted by being turned to stone, and he gets Oslo to actually attack the One Tails too. Naruto takes advantage of the situation and tries to get up to the top of the One Tails to wake up Gaara. However, the One Tails does notice what's going on and begins to try and stop Naruto. However, before the One Tails could stop Naruto, Naruto actually calls his spear back to him and changing it to its pillow form and floats up to Gaara, and then he proceeds to, change it back and stab it back into Shukaku. Then he proceeds to start beating the shit out of Gaara, trying to wake him up. Eventually, he does wake up Gaara. The One Tails is put back away. And Gaara is, really injured. And Naruto walks up to Gaara, and Gaara's just like, stay away from me. Stay away. But Naruto, he doesn't even do anything to Gaara. He actually just hugs him, and Gaara is kind of shocked. And he's just like, I won't kill you. Because if you turn around, you have two siblings who love you and don't want you to die here. So this is your last chance. I hope you make the most out of it. And then he proceeds to let Kankuro and Tamari actually take Gaara away. When Naruto and Sasuke both end up returning to the village on Oslo, they see a lot of people looking really down in the dumps. And Naruto has an idea of what has occurred. For the entire village to all be down like that. And Naruto asks Kakashi what happened, and that's when Kakashi informs Naruto that Hiruzen has died. Naruto didn't hate Hiruzen, but like he didn't love him. He's still a little sad, but like it's not like OG Naruto who is like crushed by it, because Naruto he didn't really have as close of a bond with Hiruzen as OG. Not saying that OG did, but you could tell that they had some sort of bond before Hiruzen died. But like this Naruto, not really, because he was missing for several years and this, and that. But so they all find out Hiruzen's dead. There's the whole funeral and everything. And that's when Jiraiya actually approaches both Sakura and Naruto and asks them, "Would you like to come on a trip with me to get the 5th Hokage?" And Sakura and Naruto are kind of shocked. And during this period of time, Sasuke is going to be with Kakashi. And that's because he's in the hospital and he can't actually leave at the time anyway. So Jiraiya decides to just take Sakura and Naruto with him. He has an idea for Sakura, as well as for Naruto. He explains to Naruto that he believes that that spear of his has several other forms, and he wants Naruto to actually kind of focus on unlocking the rest of the forms on his spear, if it has any. And for Sakura, he mentions that he has a book from the 4th Hokage, Minato Namikaze. It's a diary of sorts that he's willing to give her because he believes that she can learn some of the sealing jutsus that he used. And Jiraiya actually says that she's so proficient with chakra that he believes when it comes to sealing jutsu, she could be one of the best there is. And that's why he's giving this book to her, because there's some advice on a forbidden leaf jutsu and how to learn it. And Sakura is kind of shocked. She's like, "Are you sure it's okay to give me this? Like, are you really sure you should be giving me this book?" And Jiraiya's like, "Nobody needs to know if you don't tell them." And Sakura honestly chuckles a little bit. It's just like, okay. And she takes the book and she starts reading through it, and she does end up reading the name Kushina Uzumaki somewhere. And she's like, "Oh wow, he was married to an Uzumaki?" But doesn't really put 2 and 2 together yet. And so, anyways, she continues, going through it and researching the book, and Jiraiya's helping her with some of the ceilings in there outside the Flying Raijin. And Naruto is still learning more spear forms. The only one he actually manages to unlock during this period of time is Form 2 Guardian. And that's obviously the Pillow Bear form. Anyways, eventually they make it to this town, and Naruto is sitting in the hotel because he had nothing to do, really. Sakura was gone out to get some groceries. Jiraiya was doing his research. And so Naruto was alone in the hotel when he gets a knock at the door, and he's like, "Who is it?" And that's when he opens the door to see Itachi, and he already knows that he's in a dangerous situation as soon as he sees Itachi. So his first reaction, the first thing he does is Spear, Chastiful, Form 2, Guardian, and puts it in the way and just starts trying to get out of there. Because unlike Naruto normally, who couldn't escape, he has some way to increase the distance between him and the other. However, while it may have distracted Itachi for a second, Kisame just went through the wall and went straight for Naruto. Naruto is still trying to keep his distance, and he makes a few shadow clones to try and help him out. Eventually, obviously Kisame and Itachi have the upper hand, and they're kind of starting to get Naruto when Sasuke appears yelling at Itachi. And this shit is the exact same thing that happens in canon, bro. Itachi's arm just gets snapped like a twig. Yeah, it was unfortunate. And like in canon, Jiraiya comes back, and all that happens. Itachi tells them to get out of there, that they should get out of there because Jiraiya could take both of them on. Stuff like that. And so, Naruto does end up surviving this. Sasuke's wounded pride mixed with his hatred for Itachi and his ego being a little more in check, nothing really does change. He still has a genuine thing where he kind of just wants to leave, especially since the curse mark scenario and all that. But we'll get into that after this retrieval mission. They continue exploring, looking for Tsunade, while Naruto trains with his spirit spear, and Sakura is training with seals. Now, she's learned how to amplify her physical power, as well as amplify her physical defense with seals. So she's a lot tankier and does a lot more damage. She also gained the ability to make seals that actually cause some sort of like slight gravity distortion. And she's been placing them on her legs, torso, arms, all over her body to weigh herself down. Because as much as she's really proficient in chakra and everything, she also just wants to become genuinely physically stronger. Because it'll be easier for her to keep up with the others. So she's doing all this, so she moves a lot slower than she normally would. So things do take slightly longer, but only by like a few hours. And they do end up finding Tsunade in the same place anyways. Things remain relatively canon. Tsunade disrespects the title Hokage. Naruto does get upset because if you remember in the prologue part of this, I did mention that Jayon did tell Naruto about his heritage. So he knows who his parents are. And to him, it's disrespecting him and his own father by insulting the Hokage the way Tsunade is. And so Naruto challenges her to a fight, and he says, if I can beat you, you have to. And Tsunade is just like, you're a kid. If you can land one hit on me, I'll go back and be the Hokage. And so Naruto gets in his fighting stance, and that's when you hear Naruto go, Hunter Fest. And Tsunade is still very strong, but she's kind of thrown off. She feels slightly weaker. She's drunk, she feels weaker. And that's when Naruto sends his Spirit Spear and Form Guardian to go and attack Tsunade, which she completely counters. But while she's countering his Spirit Spear, Naruto actually pulls up behind her and punches her in the back. And technically, that's all he needed. She said one punch, and that's what he did. But during this period of time, Sakura's kind of thinking, and she's really not impressed with what she's seen from Tsunade. Because she's just a gambling drunkard, stuff like that. And later that night, she actually brings this up to Jiraiya before Jiraiya goes back out to talk to Tsunade. And Jiraiya's like, don't worry about it. I'm sure once she comes back and becomes Hokage, she'll be way better than she is currently. And she'll be able to teach you far better than I ever could. And that's because obviously the 100 Sealings is a type of seal. So, the 100 Healings is a type of seal, so you know. Makes sense. And so anyways, Jiraiya heads back out and he talks to Tsunade at the bar. And that's when Tsunade actually drugs Jiraiya. Because she has a meeting with Orochimaru. Suzune actually comes to Naruto and Sakura trying to wake them up to get them to go get Jiraiya because Jiraiya won't wake up. And eventually, Jiraiya does eventually wake up. And that's when they all immediately head to that open field where Tsunade actually is getting pieced up by Kabuto currently. And so, Naruto jumps into the fray. And truthfully, he could beat Kabuto, but he would still have a little bit of trouble. So, Sakura actually ends up joining Naruto in the fight while Tsunade and Jiraiya fight Orochimaru. And Sakura manages to get a couple hits onto Kabuto, and she's learned how to implement, like Minato did with his Flying Raijin, her gravity seals in her hits. So whenever she hits something, that seal appears on top of it. So then they can no longer move as easily as they previously did, which will throw them off and make it easier for Naruto to beat Kabuto. Eventually, things remain relatively canonical. They both escape Orochimaru and Kabuto. Tsunade thanks them. Tsunade gives Naruto the necklace because she appreciates everything he's done. This, and that. And then they return to the village. So then they make it back to the village. Tsunade is appointed as the 5th Hokage, and Tsunade has officially taken Sakura on as a student. Sakura tells Tsunade that her main focus currently is seals, and Tsunade is like, that is great because do you see this little diamond on my forehead? That is what I call the 100 healings. It's a seal where I've been implementing healing chakra for a long time, and it basically makes you immortal for a period of time. Sakura says that it thinks that's fascinating, and that's when Tsunade says, I'd like to teach you healing jutsu before we move back into your seals, because I believe you could be the strongest medical ninja to ever exist currently, or ever really, except like the Sage of Six Paths. And Sakura is like, you really think that? And Tsunade is like, yeah, I think you could be one of the strongest medical ninjutsu users, and just one of the strongest people to begin with. And I'll teach you how I make my body sturdy and my punches strong. So that should amplify your strength again after the strength you already have shown me. And Sakura is actually kind of excited knowing that she'll probably have strength that far surpasses Tsunade's even physically and stuff like that. And Naruto is talking to Jiraiya, and Jiraiya is like, I do want to train you on more things, but I have a mission and all this. And so Jiraiya leaves, and he's actually staying in the village. He's just kind of watching Naruto, just see how things are going. That's when Naruto goes to visit Sasuke with Sakura. And Sasuke tells Naruto that he wants to fight him, and basically forces Naruto up to the roof and begins to fight him. Naruto is actually winning in regular hand-to-hand combat. So eventually, Naruto, he doesn't want to hurt Sasuke. So when Sasuke pulls out his Chidori to attack him, Naruto just tries to block it with Guardian. However, since it's Chidori, it actually starts to go through the Guardian. It's like a sharp attack, not a blunt one. And it pierces through Guardian. And it's about to hit Naruto when Kakashi appears, catching Sasuke's arm before it actually hits Naruto. And Kakashi looks at Sasuke with just genuine disappointment. And Sasuke's like, don't you look at me like that. And Kakashi's like, you just almost killed Naruto. He wasn't even trying to hurt you. And you were trying to kill him? What for, Sasuke? Because your pride is wounded? And that's when he actually is just like, alright. And then he takes Sasuke away and ties him to a tree. They have that conversation where Sasuke is like, maybe if I took everyone you loved away, you'd understand how I felt. And then Kakashi looks at him and is like, you're a little late for that, because everyone I've ever loved is already dead. Bro, I don't know what it is about that scene. That scene goes so hard, alright. Sasuke then kind of just shuts up, and then randomly, later on that night, the sound team pulls up and talks to Sasuke, trying to convince him to leave with them. Sasuke, who may have been humbled a couple times, still has his hatred for Itachi and a wounded pride currently. So that night when Sasuke is about to leave, Sakura actually confronts him. She noticed something was off, and she sees that he's about to leave the village, and she looks at Sasuke. It's just like, don't leave, please. And that's when Sasuke is just like, I have to. I need to become stronger. And he's just honest with her. He's just like, I can't keep doing this. I need to kill Itachi. And Sakura's like, I can't let you go, Sasuke. This isn't the right option for you, bro. This isn't the right option for you. And so Sakura actually tells Sasuke, I'll fight you if I have to. I cannot let you leave. And so her and Sasuke end up fighting. However, Sasuke does end up winning. Not by a landslide, but does win. So after he ends up leaving the village while slightly injured, the sound team grabs him and they leave. The next morning, Tsunade catches wind of Sasuke's abandonment of the village, and that Sakura is currently in the hospital after losing a fight to him. And Tsunade is pissed, but She understands the standing of the Uchiha. Even though most of them are dead, they still have one left, and it's a problem if he gets away. So she assembles the current team, like the Konoha 12, like in canon, to send them after it. Except they couldn't send Sakura because Sakura was severely injured in this timeline. And so Naruto and them actually go after him. And that's when Sakura looks at Naruto. It's just like, bring him home, please. And Naruto says, I'll try. And so outside of an easier time getting out of Jirobo's dome, everything remains relatively canonical until the final valley fight, where Naruto's standing on Hashirama's head and Sasuke on Madara's. And that's when Naruto tells Sasuke, the only reason I'm not going to kill you here is because Sakura wants me to bring you home. She loves you, man. Why are you doing this to her? And Sasuke is just like, I know. And it's actually kind of honest in this timeline. It's just like, and I do love her, but I need this. I know it's selfish, but this is my only choice. And so that's when they end up fighting. And Sasuke starts tweaking out when he realizes that Naruto is honestly so much stronger than him. Like, Naruto summoned Guardian like locks him while Naruto does a wombo combo. And eventually the curse mark activates on Sasuke. And outside of the whole Guardian grabbing him and stuff, Naruto ends up not being able to do too much because currently he's not really super fast. He's probably a little bit slower than One-Tailed Cloak Naruto in canon. So he's still a little bit slower than Sasuke. He's stronger, and he can still beat Sasuke with a Sharingan that's even at near 2 to melee. But as soon as Sasuke starts up with the curse mark and stuff and starts moving too fast, Naruto honestly starts to just get boxed up. And he tries to protect himself with Guardian and stuff, but Sasuke's just moving a little too fast. Eventually, Sasuke hits Naruto straight through the left side of his, or the right side of his chest with a Chidori, leaving Naruto unconscious in the water. And that's when Sasuke just leaves. The hole in Naruto's chest, it does heal due to Kurama's influence, because obviously Kurama doesn't want to die either. And eventually Kakashi arrives and sees the state Naruto is in. And Kakashi knows that Sasuke normally would not be even close to strong enough to do this to Naruto, so he realized that Sasuke has become completely in tune with his curse mark. He brings Naruto back to the village, and that's when they're all kind of just in a state of grief almost because of Sasuke leaving the village. And Naruto is really disappointed in himself for letting his guard down and ending up losing the fight against Sasuke. And Sakura tells Naruto it's not his fault. It's her fault for asking so much of him. And Naruto thanks her because in this timeline, Naruto and Sakura are like best friends and is completely platonic. So Sakura ends up going to Tsunade and deciding that she wants her training to be upped. She wants to go at this 10 times harder. And Naruto ends up leaving the village along the side of Jiraiya to get stronger. Naruto learns a few things during this time skip. One, he unlocks the rest of the forms of his Spirit Spear. He unlocks his Pollen Garden form of Spirit Spear after he lost control of the Ninetales and injured Jiraiya, that he really wanted to heal Jiraiya so he didn't die. So that's when he unlocked Pollen Garden. Other than that, he kind of just unlocked the others via training. Sakura, on the other hand, has gotten so much stronger because she's implemented the chakra strength and endurance with her seal strength and endurance, and it's just multiplied it by like 3 times. She's like 3 times stronger than she was in OG Naruto Shippuden, like basic Shippuden. And so then she's also learned how to use the Flying Raijin during this 3-year time. She's been practicing seals nonstop and she's learned how to use the Flying Raijin effectively, especially since, as much as her chakra reserves aren't insane, they're still relatively high, and she's has insanely good chakra control, so it's not really a crazy thing. And also, with the Flying Raijin, she's also learned how to implement her own gravity seal. So if she does place a Flying Raijin mark on somebody, it also places the gravity mark on them as well. So they become slower, as well as she can teleport to them. Sakura is going to be really strong in this, so what if, okay? And so Sakura is currently insanely powerful, along with Naruto, who's unlocked every form of Spirit Spear, has improved his taijutsu, has become very proficient with Hunter Fest and taking away the strength of his opponents. As well as during the 3-year time skip, he unlocked his ability, Disaster. Now, there's a couple aspects to this ability, Disaster, alright? He can completely control things. He has complete control over life, death, and manipulating matter at a molecular level with Disaster. However, what he mainly uses it for is the status promotion of it, and what that does is he can make a scratch into an extremely deep wound. Alright? He can turn minor poisons into lethal toxins, and he can take benign tumors and turn them into cancerous ones. Like, it is an insanely powerful thing, but he mainly just uses it to make his cuts deeper. And that's when we learned that during this time skip, Naruto actually has learned how to wield a spear properly. And not just like his magical control over it, he properly holds the spear and wields it as well. So, Naruto has gotten really strong during this time skip, as well as Sakura. So, they both have gotten insanely powerful. And Sasuke has actually unlocked the Mangekyo Sharingan. I forgot to mention this, but in this timeline, due to his genuine admittance to loving Sakura and abandoning her, to him it was effectively the same as a loss. So he ended up awakening his 3 Tomoe. And during the time skip, Orochimaru actually has Sasuke get close with a Sound Village girl. And the problem with this is the whole reason Orochimaru has done this is because he wants to force Sasuke to kill her after he gains genuine feelings for her, be it friendship or romantic. And that's what occurs. When Sasuke gains really close friendship feelings for her, Orochimaru forces him to kill her. And that's when Sasuke unlocks his MS, standing in her blood. And Sasuke, he'll never be the same after that, honestly. And so Sasuke has also gotten an insane power-up during the 3-year time skip. So I would say Naruto is currently the strongest because Sakura would have a hard time getting to him. Then is Sakura, and then it's Sasuke, but they're still relatively close. Almost dead even. I would say Naruto would be able to defeat Sasuke at this point. I'm changing one thing real quick. Sakura is currently the strongest out of the 3, and that's because of her use of the Flying Raijin plus her gravity seals and all that. So yeah. Naruto is slightly weaker than Sakura, and Naruto is slightly stronger than Sasuke. Sasuke is currently the weakest, and the reason behind that will be that he's blind. He's like half blind. The only reason he can even remotely see is because he's completely doped up on drugs by Orochimaru. And so Sasuke is genuinely weaker than he normally would be with his Mangekyo Sharingan. Then we end the 3-year time skip and Naruto returns. Jiraiya catches up Tsunade on everything that happened. They have the same exam. Kakashi gets no-diffed. It wasn't even a struggle. He just gets no-diffed. And that's when that person comes and tells them that the Kazekage has been kidnapped. Naruto and Sakura immediately leave, like along with Kakashi, sorry. They all leave as fast as they can because it's a matter of time. It's like the first 48 hours type thing. And so they're gone right away, and they're going as fast as they can. Naruto is just chilling though, truth be told. He's keeping up with the others while lying down on his pillow. One fact I haven't actually pointed out is in this 3-year time skip, Naruto has unironically become so much more lazy. So yeah, that's a fun fact. They arrive. Kakashi gets attacked because he looks like his father. Things remain pretty canonical for most of this arc, except for basically when they open the door. Sakura has nowhere near as much trouble fighting Sasori, and Naruto has nowhere near as much trouble catching Deidara. It was relatively easy-ish for both of them. They're both on like a Katsuki level. And so Naruto and Sakura quickly finish their battles. They bring the Kazekage's body back, and that's when Granny Chiyo gives her Land of the Living. And so after all that, like in canon, Gaara and Naruto shake hands, and Naruto returns back to the Hidden Leaf with his team. And that's when Naruto and Sakura find out that Sai is not going to be a part of the team, and that Kakashi is being sent out on another mission, so Yamato will be the one in charge. Yamato, Naruto, Sai, and Sakura, they end up going on their mission to the Tenchi Bridge for the whole Sasori situation. That's when Kabuto immediately attacks, and that's when the full-on brawl begins. This remains relatively canonical-ish. Naruto doesn't tweak out, and they kind of escape Orochimaru over fighting him. So yeah, that's what happens there. But overall, it remains pretty close to canon. They end up following Orochimaru actually back to the base, and they run through it like in canon. They eventually find Sasuke, and Sasuke is about to attack them, and that's when Orochimaru actually grabs Sasuke by his arm. He's just like, don't. Unfortunately, you're not strong enough to take them all on. And so Sasuke kind of just backs off because Orochimaru is currently his mentor. He listens to Orochimaru currently. But Sasuke says this isn't the end, and he leaves with Orochimaru. They find out that Asuma died to Hidan and Kakuzu. And Naruto, knowing Shikamaru, like they're not super close, but they're really cool with each other, actually goes to Shikamaru just to check up on him. And Shikamaru tells him he's fine because this is after the whole thing where Shikamaru's father basically forced him to cry. And Naruto's just like, I'm sorry for your loss. And so Naruto then, goes and trains. He trains as hard as he possibly can. And he does get more proficient with his spear. And something I forgot to mention is during the 3-year time skip, he did learn the Rasen. So he was practicing that and maybe seeing if he could add some sort of nature to it or something else. He's just practicing random things. Kakashi does actually not mention to Naruto in this timeline about the Shadow Clones Jutsu's special thing where the memories from the clones go back into the original. So Naruto doesn't really know about this fact, so his training, he just does basic training. He does try to add a release to the Rasengan, but he doesn't really succeed yet. And so, anyways, he's sent on the mission with Team 8 or whatever Team Asuma was, Team Asuma, and he goes on the mission with them to kill Kakuzu and Hidan. Though, they all did agree to leave Hidan to Shikamaru, and that fight still remains canon till right now, so. That's a canon fight. Kakuzu, he kind of just gets destroyed by Naruto because he just fossilizes him. There's not much Kakuzu can do about that, honestly. Once Naruto hits him, it's over for him. And so, after that, Naruto then returns back and finds out that Jiraiya has been sent on a mission, and then gets sent on a mission of his own. And that mission was to find Sasuke once again, because Sasuke had been spotted, and they found out that he's going to go kill Itachi currently. And so they're trying to find Sasuke. They don't end up succeeding. However, during this time, Naruto, Yamato, and Kakashi are in a building when Toby appears. And he tells them the Itachi's truth. And Naruto's kind of like, this is not good. This is not good at all. This is not going to be a good end to this story. And that's when Naruto's like, we have to find Sasuke, but unfortunately they couldn't find him, so eventually they do have to return back to the village. And when they return, that's when Naruto is brought to the Hokage's office and informed by the Toads of Jiraiya's death. In canon, the person who ends up cheering up Naruto and saving him basically was Iruka. However, in this timeline, their bond isn't the same, so it's actually Sakura. And during this time, you'll notice that we switched the scene to the fairy tree. And that's because Jaeon, who was sealed inside of it, is soon going to die because the spirit tree has absorbed all of its immortality elixir back into itself due to the damage it took. However, before Jaeon completely dies, it actually takes his consciousness, or his essence more accurately, and puts it inside of Naruto's spear. And the reason it's able to do that is because, of course, the spirit spears are made out of the tree, so it can do that. And put Jaeon's essence inside of the spear. And you won't know what that does until a little bit later. Anyways, eventually Naruto, after moping around for like a day, gets cheered up somewhat by Sakura. He's still depressed, but he's okay, if that makes sense. And so that's when he's informed by Tsunade that she would like him to actually meet her summon, Lady Katsuyu, because Lady Katsuyu has something to tell him about the first Hokage, who also was a descendant of those blessed by the fairies. And so Naruto ends up going to another room and is actually talking with Lady Katsuyu, where Lady Katsuyu actually explains that the Sage Mode that Hashirama used had nothing to do with her, and it was actually called Fairy Sage Mode. And she does believe that he can use it because she senses the fairy power from him. And Naruto is then like, really? That's a thing? And Lady Katsuyu then informs Naruto that it is, and it's fairly similar to Toad Sage Mode, though there are very big differences, but it has nothing to do with how it works. It has more to do with the abilities you gain. And so Lady Katsuyu said that she recommended that Naruto actually go and try to learn Fairy Sage Mode alongside the Toads, because they're probably the best chance he has at learning it, since he's the last fairy. And Naruto's like, alright, that makes sense. Okay, I'm down. And so then Naruto, goes with the Toads to Mount Miyoboku and proceeds to spend the next little while learning, Sage Mode. Eventually, Naruto does return when he finds out something is wrong with the Leaf Village. And he returns with a couple of the Toads, not all three, and Oslo. They're all summoned out, basically. And they appear there to see the Leaf Village is gone. And Naruto is pissed when he sees it. And he immediately enters Fairy Sage Mode. And he immediately runs towards the 6 Paths of Pain. And since he decided to 1v6 them out of rage, he's low-key getting boxed up. However, he calls his spear, which he never really realized because he hadn't been using it. But as soon as he started using it, it got bigger. So what had happened is when the tree put Jaeon's essence inside the spear, it actually awoke the spear into its true form. It is more powerful. It is larger. And one thing that we find out about Naruto in his Fairy Sage Mode is that his wings grow significantly. And his Spirit Spear can now use several forms at once, which is really cool. Anyways, so he then gets his spear, and he has Form 2 and Form 7. No. And Form 6 on. He has Form 2 and Form 6 going, which is the Guardian, which he has helping him fight the 6 paths of pain, and Form 6 being the Yggdra cloth, which is his armor. And currently, he's having a much easier time now that he's using his Spirit Spear, whilst Oslo and the Toads are actually fighting the summons from the paths from the summoner path of pain. But the difference is they can actually kill them in this timeline because Oslo's stomach is a void. When whatever he eats just disappears. So if he eats anything, any of the animals, they're gone forever, and that's what their entire plan is. The Toads are working to help Oslo eat the animals, and it's working relatively well. Naruto now has the upper hand against the 6 paths. He ends up destroying the healing path, and then he starts destroying them one by one. Eventually, he fights the Diva path, and he's on par with it, if not slightly stronger. Eventually, he pushes the Diva path into the middle of the forest after a long, drawn-out fight, where then the Diva path then uses planetary devastation, creating a whole ass meteor. And Naruto actually does begin to get sucked into it. However, using his wings along with his spear, he barely manages to begin to escape the gravitational pull of it. So he manages to not actually get caught by this planetary devastation. And the Diva Path is genuinely confused. He's like, how? How did you escape this? I don't understand. And Naruto's like, you don't need to. And destroys the Diva Path. And the truth of the matter is, Naruto is known where Nagato has been this entire time. He can sense him. So he proceeds to go to Nagato. And he might not be as nice as Canon Naruto, but he's still not a bad person. So before he attacks Nagato, he does go for a conversation. He wants to talk. And then they have the whole talk no jutsu thing where in the middle of it, Sakura actually eventually catches up with Naruto and tries to attack Nagato. However, Naruto immediately switches his spear to Form 2 Guardian to catch her and stop her from attacking him. And he's like, we're talking. There's no need for violence right now. And Sakura just kind of stands back a little bit and listens instead. And eventually Nagato understands. He's just like, maybe if there ever will be peace, it'll be caused by you. And does his Rene rebirth. After Nagato does this, Sakura actually walks up to Konan and tells Konan that she'd like to place a flying Raijin mark on her in case she ever does something bad again. This is a vision of good faith, really. And Konan just lets it happen. So, after all that, Konan hands Naruto the flowers, and he lays them on Jiraiya's grave. Naruto then returns to the village to be praised by the entire village, calling him the hero of the Hidden Leaf. And that's when we find out that Itachi has been killed as well by Sasuke, and Obito has taken Sasuke away. Obito then tells Sasuke the truth, and things remain very canonical, honestly. Up until the 5 Kage summit, where at the end, after Obito and Sasuke basically declare world war, basically, Naruto is sent to Turtle Island with Killer Bee, and that's when Naruto actually ends up going to tame the Ninetales. The Ninetales, truthfully, didn't really try to get in Naruto's way too much because Ninetales didn't hate the fairies or anything. They actually kind of respected them. But unfortunately, they were basically extinct. So, as much as Ninetales doesn't like Naruto, he didn't really get in his way throughout this entire story, which is pretty nice for Naruto at least. But when he goes to tame the Ninetales still does not want to be tamed. And in this timeline, Minato and Kushina are there because Minato never had to appear after Naruto loses control. So he gets to meet both of his parents at once and have a conversation with them, explain like his entire life story, everything like that. And it was pretty nice. Naruto ends up taming the Ninetales and unlocking KCM 1, Well, I'm gonna say 1.5 because the Ninetales again doesn't hate Naruto. It just doesn't want to be tamed by him per se. And so his Ninetales cloak is slightly stronger than KCM1's. And so Naruto now has access to Fairy Sage mode, True Form Spear Chastiful, KCM 1.5, and is in the middle of the war arc. Now, everything Naruto had trouble with in the original, he does not in this. He basically no diffs so many characters. He does not have much trouble with the Reikage, the second Reikage or whatever it was. He doesn't have much trouble with any of the Mizukages or the Tsuchikages. The only person who ends up destroying his clone in this is Madara when he appears. And it's just a no diff for Madara at the time because Naruto's clone, wasn't expecting it. And Naruto understands now there's a powerful figure on the battlefield that even he won't just completely destroy. And so, after that, things do remain relatively canonical once again, up until Madara and Obito getting in Naruto's way. Naruto can't no-diff them, but in this timeline, Naruto actually has Sakura with him. Because as much as Sakura is a required healing ninjutsu user, she's also an extremely powerful combatant. They decided that her combat skills are far more important. And so, which is kind of crazy, they admit that she is stronger than Tsunade. So they actually have Tsunade go back to take her place. And so they end up fighting Obito and Madara, and then they're winning, and then they back up a little bit. They do the whole thing. The Ten Tails is summoned. All that happens, alright? There wasn't much Naruto could do about the Nine Tails. After the Ten Tails was summoned, Naruto was actually able to hold his own alongside Sakura, protecting the Shinobi Alliance. And it remains fairly canonical again, and Minato appears when there's a big tailed beast bomb that even Naruto could not block by himself. He teleports it away because Sakura's flying Raijin is very strong, but she doesn't use it via kunai, she uses it via punch. She has to have been at that place, and she wasn't going to destroy the middle of the continent. And so, after all that, Minato appears in front of Naruto, who is somewhat injured, but not crazy injured. And Naruto's like, "How's it going, Dad?" And Minato's like, "I'm alive." And then the battle continues. Things remain relatively canonical. Then the whole Obito situation happens where Minato realizes who Obito is, along with Kakashi. Obito absorbs the Ten Tails. However, this time, Obito, honestly, after absorbing the Ten Tails, starts to actually get bodied. And I mean bodied by Naruto. Because Naruto enters his Fairy Sage mode. And just his magic itself is like a Sage energy as well. So his Spirit Spear is not stopped by the fact that it's chakra, because it has nothing to do with chakra. So it penetrates everything. And he ends up using Spirit Spear Chastiful Form 4, which is the giant sunflower that shoots off an insanely powerful beam. And alongside this, he understands that the Shinobi Alliance, most of them are severely injured, so he enters Form 8, Pollen Garden, to heal the entire Shinobi Alliance back up to full. And that's when him and his Spear end up going after Obito's Ten Tails transformation. And Form 3 Fossilization is the next form he sets his Spear into, and sends that shit straight through Obito's chest. Normally Obito would be able to heal it and stuff like that, however, you can't heal being a fossil. And Obito slowly gets turned into stone, and that's when Madara appears, actually kicking the spear out of Obito and taking Obito away from it, because he's like, I can't lose the Ten Tails. Eventually, Madara then takes the Ten Tails from Obito, and then, all that. Sasuke actually in this timeline is helping, but he's not able to do nearly as much. He sees everything that's going on, and he's just like, I could never have hoped to compare with him. He's just too strong. And Sasuke just comes to the realization that his dream is done. He's killed his brother, and he wanted revenge on the Leaf, but it's not feasible. And Sasuke just accepts his current fate. And so Sasuke accepting that decides, fuck it, I'm gonna help him out. Him, Naruto, and Sakura end up triple teaming Madara. Unfortunately, they destroy Madara way too quickly. With Naruto, who was already basically no diffing Obito almost. And then him, Sasuke, and Sakura, who are all very strong, they almost no diff Madara. And they destroyed him so fast that Kaguya wasn't even be able to be summoned. I know the ending here hasn't been too detailed. I do plan on having all the current love interests and everything like that to remain the same. Big difference is Neji doesn't die, but Naruto will still marry Hinata, Sakura will still marry Sasuke, all this and that. But yeah, I know I moved very fast, but that's the problem when you have an OP character. Well, for me at least, when I get an OP character, I find it hard to keep the story going, right? So, I did my best, but I didn't want to prolong something that didn't need prolonging. So I hope you all have a great day, and once again, thank you to Weeb for the general idea of how I was going to go about this story. I love you, man, and thank you to Angel as well for helping me with the idea bouncing. Have a great time. See ya. Peace!